And finally, when I understood that I had an alternative in plant therapy and it was cannabis, and I loved cannabis as a kid, I loved that euphoria. But as a woman at 71, I'm not looking for euphoria. I'm looking for relief from the arthritis. I'm looking for relief from anxiety. I'm looking for sleep relief. I'm looking for IBS relief. I'm looking for anti-nausea and anti-inflammatory relief. These are the things that I just want to find some help with so I can get on with my day and do what I really want to do, which is help you.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
Hi, and welcome back to the Cannabis Truth Podcast. Honey Smith Walls here, founder, host, speaker, author. I am having so much fun in this world, womaning at 71 years of age. It's been delightful the last couple of years, just having a good time, understanding more about what these kind of issues are like in my elder years and understanding how to manage them better and letting all my girlfriends know, and you too. So I'm thrilled that you're here because I want everybody to realize that there is an alternative to feeling poorly all the time. There's an alternative to brain fog. There's an alternative to those weird hitches in your get along when your arthritis medication doesn't play nicely with your muscles spasming and all that stuff. And there's all kinds of alternatives for the IBS in your gut that's going on. There's all kinds of alternatives for sleep, for getting better sleep, and for lowering and even getting rid of anxiety. How do I know this? Because I've been living in plant therapy for the last decade, and it really saved me from an early grave, is all I can tell you. I've told my story many times about the perfect womanly storm of very typical stuff that we go through. It was menopause hitting me early at 38. Arthritis creeping into my bones early in my late 30s. Being out on the ocean with no real continuing medical care to help me understand what was going on with me as menopause smacked me upside the head. And then this accident that gave me instant neuropathy at the end of my fingers. It's very, very painful. And so all of these things, and then I got high blood pressure on top of that. So that was a whole thing in itself. And then thyroid happened, or a lack thereof, or whatever it is that I'm having to take levothyroxine for. And that gives me a little bit of brain fog. And it nauseates me because you can't eat. So you see all this just womanly stuff going on. these are the reasons why I went to plant therapy as an alternative to the many prescriptions that I was given legally from my doctors, of course, to combat all of these womanly issues I was having. And most of them would just kind of, pat me on the knee and say, yeah, welcome to menopause, with not much else of an idea for relief than their big medicine cabinet of big pharma. And all that stuff, it was just one compounded prescription on top of another until my gut was just completely in charge of my brain. There was not a moment in the daytime, or practically probably at night either, that my gut wasn't talking loudly to my brain and overriding everything else. So I didn't want that kind of anxiety and pain and nausea and, all that junk to be happening first. And I'd already been on decades of prescriptions that were not helping me. They were not helping me. They weren't helping. And finally, when I understood that I had an alternative in plant therapy, and it was cannabis, and I loved cannabis as a kid. I loved that euphoria. But as a woman at 71, I'm not looking for euphoria. I'm looking for relief from the arthritis. I'm looking for relief from anxiety. I'm looking for sleep relief. I'm looking for IBS relief. I'm looking for anti-nausea and anti-inflammatory relief. These are the things that I just want to find some help with so I can get on with my day and do what I really want to do, which is help you.
Yeah, honey, no.
This is a shout out to all my entrepreneurial sisters. I'm wondering, are you feeling stuck like I did when I first started my business? I hadn't been through business college, and there were so many things I didn't know and understand, especially about marketing, especially about the back-end bone structure of your business, and all the little things that you could do to help yourselves in the way of tools that you make handy for yourself during your business structure and your ongoing business. So looking forward, if you need help in getting those little projects done, but you've been stumped because you just couldn't figure out one piece of that app or the next step or the next darn, and you just wanted somebody to just show me how, I'm your girl. That's why I created honeyshelp.com. Now you can get a la carte help for those little projects that have just been nagging you. Yes, it's true. I can help you with a lot of that stuff that builds the backbones of your business. And we can do it together in a stress-free situation where you will enjoy learning how to structure the backbones of your business. I hope that you will go visit honeyshelp.com for more information about what we could do together to get you past those hurdles and roadblocks that have just been stumping you for so long, when all it would take is just a few minutes of somebody showing you how. I'm your girl. This is Honey Smith Walls, and I hope that you will too. Go visit honeyshelp.com today. Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants, and one of those turned out to be beta caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked. It has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world, as a matter of fact. It has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
I know you can tell how excited I am about my new little project about honeyshelp.com. And I am having so much fun with my new clients. And I've got room for just a few more, but just saying, we are having the very best time. And so it's their projects, their priorities, getting this stuff done. And I'm holding their hands to help them with the backbones and the tech and finding the right buttons to push and how do I do this and get this there and do that there and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, I had no idea I was going to have so much fun doing this. But I love it. And so if you know somebody that needs that kind of help too, just let me know. Holler at me, because I'm available for that kind of help. And it's just more fun than a barrel of monkeys to me. I just have a great time helping other people with these skills that I've been working on. But what I'm really here to talk to you about today is taking cannabis seriously as a medicine and not just recreationally for the euphoria. Because when you just consider cannabis recreationally, then it's a disregard of the value of medicinal help that you can get and the relief that you can target for yourself. So when you know the formula, when you know a few of the compounds, it's really easy. And I say this all the time. Doing the alchemy of cannabis is as easy as putting butter and syrup on pancakes, which we did this morning when I made silver dollars for my grandkids. So I just want to remind you that the benefits of using cannabis medicinally, well, you get to target what's happening inside your body. You get to choose whether or not you're going to want that and use that euphoria to your advantage or for your entertainment. You have complete control over the compounds that you're using. You know exactly who to trust and why to trust certain people in the cannabis industry and certain products. I show you all of that. And so it's really important to be safe with a live plant medicine because it comes out of the ground and there's all kinds of compounds inside this plant that, your body will bind to perfectly. Hundreds of those compounds. But there's also compounds in there that you don't want, like heavy metals and pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and bat guano from God knows where. So we protect ourselves by using good companies who really care about us as cannabis patients, not just as the bottom dollar to a company in recreational. And so the philosophy is much more different, much different. It's intentional to healing. And you want that. if you're feeling poorly and you're trying to use the plant for yourself, but you really haven't had much education about it, you're going to want to understand a few of these compounds, because you don't want to mix up the stuff that you take in the morning for energy and focus and all of that with the stuff that you take at night to help you sleep. No. And you don't want to overdo THC if you're really sensitive to anxiety, because overdoing THC is what can make you really anxious, but not if you do it right. Not if you know the alchemy, not if you know the compounds to use to tame THC. All of that is in my new little book. Here, I've just got a picture of it for right now. It's called Healing Beyond High. And for the price of less than dinner for two at McDonald's, you can get this book. And you will know more than 99% of the doctors on this planet at this point in history about using cannabis practically and why it is so good for our bodies. So I love telling you about all of this. There's really, great reasons to be a medical patient, even if your state does not allow that sort of thing. If your state is still in between prohibition and allowing everything somewhere, it's still hard to figure out who to go to, who to buy from, what to buy, and how to dose. But buying my little book will help you with all of that. And then I'm here too, to hold your hand. So becoming a patient is far more valuable to you using this live plant therapy than just using it recreationally, willy-nilly for, whatever silly names that they're naming. I can even show you some of those silly names. When you go to buy products at a dispensary that's medical, you'll get a product that looks like this. And it'll have a QR code on the back, and that'll take you to the lab report that proves there's no nasty stuff in this and that it's all okay to use. Like you would have an assurance that the foods that you eat at the grocery store are not going to poison you, and the other stuff that you get from the pharmacy is going to be okay to take. But when you go, so this is, plain white container and plain words and, very easy to understand. But when you go to the recreational store, you get stuff like this, aimed at kids. Yes. Unicorn poop and pink pussy. I can't go talk to a patient about pink pussy and unicorn poop cannabis. I can't do it. It's just so raunchy. And obviously, they're not taking anything seriously in the recreational business except how much money they're making off of their unicorn poop and pink pussy. Ick! So I've got an issue with that. I prefer to stay in the medicinal realm so that I learn everything I can in this new discovery period. I can bring it to you. You can parse the crazy language in both science and recreation in those industries and figure out where you are medicinally so that you have control over finding relief for yourself. Yeah. You can skip that doctor dance for a lot of stuff. Not the serious stuff, not the serious stuff, but honestly, for anxiety, for inflammation, for acute pain, you can use gentle but powerful plant therapy. And you'll be amazed at how your life will change. Look, if you've got questions, I am sitting right here just waiting to answer. And we can talk about the history of cannabis, the politics of prohibition and reintroducing it into our society again now, and the recreational industry, the industrial uses for cannabis, cars that were made with it, airplanes flying with it now, using the fibers of cannabis to build airplanes, that sort of thing. Using it for water filtration, using it to clean up nuclear waste after explosions like Chernobyl, that sort of thing. And remember that the backbone of our country was built on cannabis, because those guys never would have made it over here from Europe without cannabis. Do you know why? Because you can't sail a boat without ropes and sails, right? Across an ocean, both made from cannabis. That's right. And then when they got here, when those Europeans first got here to this big country, they told everybody else, as our forefathers, you will grow hemp. You will. Now, you can pay your taxes with it, and we even, wore our clothes and fed our animals and used it for oils and used it for strengthening stuff. We just used it for recreation, used it for, commerce. It was used for all kinds of things, and medicinally as well. And every single religious organization used it in their rubrics. Go look. So Google the history of the history of cannabis. You're just going to be amazed. And I love retelling American history so that you understand how important cannabis was to this country, bringing it up. So anyway, it's about time for me to scoot, but I know you've got questions. I can't wait to hear them. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you know of anybody who would enjoy spending a little time having some fun with me and my eyes and hands on their projects, then do tell them I'm here and available for a little tech help at honeyshelp.com. And also, don't forget, there's a great, big, huge advantage for you to read this 116-page little book that costs less than the price of a dinner at McDonald's. It will amaze you and change your life, and probably everybody else's around you. Yep, Healing Beyond High. You can get it in the big bookstores anywhere you go. All right, see y'all next week. Thank you so much for being here. I just so enjoy your company.
Honey knows, honey grows.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.
A quick shout out to Nathan Pierce and Daniel Rome of the 406 Budcast and their brilliant tech goddesses who created what you're about to hear next.
She walked in with wisdom and a fire in her eyes, talking plant truth where the silence lies. From the roots to the bloom, she saw the light. Now she's teaching folks how to heal it right. Not afraid to challenge the tale of lazy myths in a system that failed. She's got science in one hand, stories in the other. Lifts up the voices they tried to smother. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the soil and love in the smoke. Speaking for the elders and the ones left behind. She's the shaman of the leaf with a warrior's mind. Yeah, honey knows how the healing flows. From Florida sun to digital waves, she's breaking down fear with every word she says. Cannabis truth, that's her battle cry. For the mamas and papas still scared to try. She ain't selling hype, she's serving facts. Taking big pharma to school with class. With a mic and a mission, she lights the way for the lost and the curious every day. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the bud and peace in the dose. Teaching the plant like a sacred art. From the ECS to the beating heart. Yeah, honey knows. Honey healing flows. She's been burned by the system, lifted by the plant, giving voice to the ones who thought they can. A sister, a savior.